story of the game. Anyway, let's get into this, shall we? Hey guys, how's it going? I just recently finished Ordeal Call 3, the 2-month-long summer event story, and I have some thoughts. I have admittedly been in a kind of a bit of a slump with FGO, because during the release of Ordeal Call 2, I didn't play through it, and I'm only just now getting through it on stream, which means I'm getting through it very slowly in about 2-hour intervals a day, twice a week, give or take. And so it's pretty slow going, but it's very fun. OC3 though was time gated to get it. It was time gated, so getting it all done at the same time was it was whatever it was. But right now you have to get it done, otherwise you have to wait until February. So I kind of blasted my way through it. I used a lot of my time off to just kind of get through it, and you know what? I have some thoughts. So, I do these reviews now with pretty much every new story chapter as they come out or as I finish them. Then I write down my thoughts, get them down on a paper, and just want to kind of learn to put them out into the ether. So, what were my thoughts on Ordeal Call 3? So, before we can really get into that, we need to address the elephant in the room with Ordeal Call 3. There's a very, very, very large elephant in the room with Ordeal Call 3. Admittedly, I don't think I can really start this review without addressing the obvious elephant in the room, which is Summer 9. Summer 9 was the prologue for Ordeal Call 3, and a very bold attempt at something new that admittedly doesn't really pay off. I think that the people who are mad about, like, Space Ereshkigal being the anniversary servant can shove their opinion up their ass on that, given that she was one of the most anticipated servants to ever release. Annie seems kind of fine for that, in my opinion. But the merger of the two big story ideas together, I don't think lands quite well. We go to Dubai in the future at the invitation of Bibi. The summer event feels more like it was panned as a, yep, this is a summer event kind of thing. They kind of, it's the most, this is a summer event that they've ever done. We have the Knights of the Round Table cameo that's done up front. We do a little bit of sightseeing and see a local attraction, and then they keep trying to try to recreate the Loco Moco meme thing that they had with Yagyu, but it just doesn't turn out as good. This summer event just felt like it was less like we were in the event and more like we were on a guided tour of Dubai. Never before have I seen FGO be so handholdy about showing off a location, only for it to be super boring and overly glazy towards it. Let me give you an example of what I mean. We've been to Hawaii, not once, but twice. On our first trip, we go to Waikiki Beach and the observatory, two areas that are very famous and very touristy. But the story doesn't linger on the location itself, and it gives you this like long-winded explanation followed by a short unrelated interaction. It incorporates the concepts into the story that they want to tell. We go to the Dubai frame and just go, yup, that's the Dubai frame. Here's the history of the Dubai frame. All right, now here's Penthesilea making deliveries for some reason. Bye. It just feels wrong, right? Rinse and repeat that a few times, and that's the summer event pretty much as a whole. Now, the one time that they did get it right was with the Spice Market, where you hang out with Duryodhana, and that entire part is carried by Duryodhana's personality. Dear lordy. And the reason why that one sticks out in my mind is because that's us actually getting like ingratiated into the actual culture rather than just being like tourists for it. We're actually like interacting with the world around us and seeing what we're doing in that world, and we get to see how people react to like the silliness that naturally comes with having heroes be around. It's interesting. It's fun. I wish that they had done more of that. They kind of did some of it with, like, the camel race, but the camel race was just, I don't know. It was, I wish that it's weird to say this, I wish it had gone on longer. Because the things that they did for the camel race just weren't enough to really get the point that they were trying to get across. It was fine, but it just felt I don't know. The word of the day for the summer event itself is boring. Not because nothing really happens, you know? But, you know, it is what it is. Elephant addressed. The setup for summer event in all of Summer 9 is a solid 3 out of 10 at best. Didn't like it. Did not care for it. It is arguably the most bare bones summer event that we've ever had, which is amazing because Summer 1, which should be like the worst one that we ever had, is amazing. I would think that my least favorite summer before this was the Dead Heat Summer Race because literally nothing happens in that. That one was also just kind of boring and so convoluted and all over the place, didn't make any goddamn sense. I don't know. This one, just literally nothing happens in this one. It's like they asked an AI to generate a summer event. But, you know. Yeah, it's not basically the prologue for OC3. It is the prologue for OC3. Anyway, let's get into the rest of this now, shall we? Let's get into the meat and potatoes. We're going to get into the setting of this. Let's get like a setup proper. BB turns out to... By the way, in case you didn't know this, if you're watching this right now, this is very obviously going to have spoilers in it. We're reviewing the entire story chapter. If you've not read the story chapter, or you care about being spoiled, this is your sign to leave. Okay? I'm saying that now. If you enter this stream and you didn't read the stream title and you're mad that there's spoilers happening right now, it's now your fault. I will not take any responsibility for it. Everything that I said up until now was in the summer event. Now you're in the story. If you've not read the summer event yet, it's been a month. That's your fault. We are now in the story part of this. We're repeating that. We're good. Let's keep going. BB turns out to be a BB from a different universe, and we're actually in the year 3000. All humans have turned themselves into AI for some reason, and BB wants to hold a game of sorts now that humans have reached the pinnacle of joy to eliminate the species. Functionally, Dubai, which is actually on the moon, becomes the stage for a death battle of sorts between moon cancers, with the ultimate goal of deciding how humans went extinct. We get the magical power cut out of us, so that all of our servants who didn't come directly with us just kind of vanish. So no Knights of the Round Table or like Duryodhana's around; they are all just gone. And then BB sends our BB who shows up. BB Dubai sends our BB into deep space, then deletes all of our servants save for Arish, Bart, and Mash, and then we are more or less told to just go fend for ourselves while all the AI vote on how we should die. And you know what? I'm gonna be real with you. I love this concept. I'm kind of a sucker for the death battle kind of like themes. I think that the idea is really fun and it makes for a pretty solid setup for a story chapter. Yeah, I like the theme for it. I think that choosing moon cancers to do this is a really fun idea, and it being set on the moon is a pretty fun. I think it works. I think that the setup for this works very well. Genuinely, really fun all around, especially after the prologue was kind of a drag. So, how well do they actually deliver on this setting? Well, let's get into the story then, shall we? Do you guys want my grading now or later? You know what? I have it written right here for the start of this. I'm going to save it for later. Thus far, this has been my favorite story chapter that they've done in a hot minute with a huge asterisk. Then I am not done with Ordeal Call 2, which, from what I've read thus far, has been very good. I'm not going to rank Ordeal Call 2 because I'm not done with Ordeal Call 2. I love Ordeal Call 2 and what I've gone through with it, but in a way to be fair, OC3 I think is my current favorite recent story chapter. It's probably my favorite one I've read since Lost Belt 6. I don't like it better than Lost Belt 6, but I do like it a lot. Yeah, this is, in my opinion, this is a massive step up from what Ordeal Call 1 was trying to do, because it was functionally trying to do the same idea, but was executed significantly worse. The idea that we set up our camp in the quote-unquote loser camp of the city, and are being serviced by a camel barista and an off-brand Starbucks is really fun. The side NPCs all felt really enjoyable here as well. Because it's the weak camp, it keeps getting raided by stronger ones, and so we have to try and help them out. Astolfo and Roland going insane because they're on the moon is a nice little touch. That's a really good historical note there. Edison, left unattended for 19 years, becoming a Gurren Lagann villain was super cool. Koyanskaya felt kind of meh to me. Kazura drop was great. Jinako being a leader, being like a leader hermit who was the entire city's main line of defense is a really interesting spin on her concept. Ark being like a wandering, curious vampire was really fun. And Kiara is Kiara, but you know, Kiara being a villain is magnifique. Always fun. And all of these made each of the areas that you go to feel like they actually had their own unique vibe and threat, and not even to mention the fact that the KPs are just kind of around and could kill you at any time. They won't, probably, but they could. It felt very fun to be in a world like this again. I'll touch more on that later, but I'll also say this. I'll touch more on this later, but having Bart as your primary servant companion was fantastic, I think. As the moon cancers begin to die off throughout the story, we begin learning more and more about how humanity got to this point of like super stagnation. We get a very interesting parallel to modern concerns and the issues with AI in our world. While I won't say that this was full-on social commentary, they certainly did not shy away from being critical of the fact that having AI be used for everything leads to stagnation. Or that even if everyone becomes equal, someone's always going to try and be on the top. I have a pretty well-known stance on being against generative AI, because in my opinion it's the tool of failures and the lazy, but even I won't deny that other forms of artificial intelligence have uses. The story really hammers home that AI does not do anything with a purpose beyond what's been asked to do, believing that it is helping others by fulfilling their own wishes. This extends to the wishes that are ultimately harmful to others, hence why the totally not Elon Musk stand-in causes the mass extinction of humanity. Finally, the story with the Hakunos and Bibi being akin to like a graduation of humanity was really touching. Hakuno was a great character and a joy to be around, as per usual, and seeing him get reunited with Bibi, or seeing them rather get reunited with Bibi despite all the trouble that she had put them through, was a super heartwarming moment. I really enjoy the Extra universe in Fate. I need to play Fate Extra, the original, like, as soon as I can. But, you know. So, you know, I thought that this one was, like, really sweet. It was super sweet to me. We will be getting more into that, more into the characters, but first... Oh, I meant to go through all this. Haha. Break time. Questions. Anybody. I will do quick questions for everybody. Elon Musk thought he felt more Horizon Zero Dawn to me. I've never played the game. I don't know. I see somebody who's trying to do an Electric Wind God Fist to me. Valid. Have I played CCC? No. I've read the CCC manga. I've also read Foxtail. I've read the Seraph manga. I've played through Extella and Extella Link. We'll touch on Tesla Alter stuff later. I think that the concept that they did with Tesla in this story chapter was super cool. I think that we'll talk. I'm going to talk about Edison, and we'll talk about Tesla then as well. And I really like what they did with that. Tesla Alter as a concept, though, I'd love that. I would love to see what they do with it. Evil Tesla Alter be like, I'm gonna give the gods back their electricity. Any thoughts on the archetype? Like, any theories on what it could be? I think it's meant to be purposefully ambiguous. Like, it's not like we're shooting like an Arcroid fetus into space or anything like that. From worst to best, how would you rank the moon cancers? Oh, I would need to remember them all off the top of my head. I would argue that the worst is Koyanskaya. After that is Astolfo. Fuck, I need to remember all of them. Because everyone else aside from that is really good. Everyone else aside from that is really good. The best one is probably... I'm a sucker for Kazura drop. I don't know what to tell you, man. I really like Kazu. I love Kazu. I love that she's a scheming fucking rat. Jiniko's probably after Astolfo in terms of that because she... Well, I like her. She doesn't do very much. Kiara is probably after... yeah, Kiara, then Arcruid, then... Everyone else is tied, I think. It's all good. Have any idea who the Angel of the Sea was? Not off the top of my head, no. Who do you? How do I think humanity should have ended? Oh God. Is OC3 canon for Fate Extra or not? It's probably like an alternate timeline thing. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can interpret how any of the Fate stuff goes. How I think that people should have died? Realistically, probably be big ass weapon. Someone made a big weapon, and they killed everyone. I kind of like Jiniko's, where everyone just goes inside and just like whiles away until they die. Even Jean, who's just there and didn't do anything, but just got killed by Kazura off screen. Jean was there? I don't even remember that. Damn, crazy. Was it Summer Jean? Oh, it was Summer Jean, you're right. And Kazu fucking ate her. That's right. I completely forgot because she has literally no screen presence. Alright, well, that's fine. Let's get into this. There will be another question and answer time here at the end. We're here in after the next part. Characters. A story very much lives and dies by its characters. I am very judgmental of character writing because it was the base of my entire thesis back in college in the field of English, and it is the thing that interests me the most in that field. By the way, fucking nailed that thesis. Aced the shit out of that. We will be doing this like how I did it before with OC1 and breaking the characters into groups of good, neutral, and bad. If I leave anybody out, assume it's neutral, because that means they didn't leave that much of an impression on me and didn't have much to say about them. So assume that I don't hate them, I don't like them. Like, I don't hate them, I don't like them very much. They're just kind of like neutral, you know? So with that said, let's take a look. Probably my favorite character in this entire chapter would have to be Bart. Has to be Bart. So, I'm going to start this off with Bart. Bart very much gets a bad rap in FGO. He has been more or less relegated and remembered as the guy who likes covered eyes, and this is very much the fault of the writers desperately hammering this joke home into all of his interactions forever. And so that hatred is entirely justified. I do not... If anyone were to tell me that, like, before reading this, that Bart is the best character in this chapter, I would have called you a fucking liar. Like, they'd be like, you're full of it. That doesn't make any sense. It's fucking Bart. He's a one-trick pony through and through. However, throughout both this chapter and the summer story, that aspect of him is incredibly tuned down. He brings it up on very, very rare occasions, but you will go entire sections without him saying it once. They even use it in a way that's actually funny when they're like kind of crammed into the boxes trying to sneak into Edison's place, and he's in there with you and Mash, and he's losing his mind because he's close to Mash, who has the bangs covered. And you know what? That's funny. That's funny and actually utilizes it in a way that's actually funny. And, you know, I don't know. I like that they really built upon that. They also really built upon Bart's character here. Him being very much aware of his less than stellar capabilities, and that even though he was a famous pirate, his name is tied to the end of the golden age of piracy. Like, I like that he knows it about himself. Imagine right now, if you were known as the person who ended the golden age of the career that you loved, and how that would weigh on your soul forever. Despite this, he maintains that certain gentlemanly rogue personality, able to smooth talk his way out of situations and make friends with the AI Sandboat, who is actually Eliza, which was a super early form of AI chatbot. I went down a whole rabbit hole into looking into what that is, and like that's a super fascinating thing to get into. The guy who made it is just kind of just like, this is never meant to be like the way how people are interpreting it, and it's supposed to be like a way to see how humans could communicate with robots, and if it was possible to do it, and then people kind of took the concept and ran with it, and he's like, no, you guys are, don't do it like that. It's fascinating how they like incorporated that. That was super cool. And how like him just being like a smooth talker and a really easygoing person made it so that because she's a chatbot, easy to chat to. I think that kind of thing is like, it's really kind of fun. I kind of want to do a side video on all the early AI stuff that they talk about in this chapter because it is really fun. The section with Kiara as well, attempting to seduce him and him betraying her, because even though he has his doubts, he ain't no bitch. He ain't no bitch. Bart is the GOAT. The chapter did wonders for his reputation. I cannot wait for the next writer to completely ignore all of that character development and send him back to One Trick Pony Town. But I'm gonna enjoy it right now with how he's been written in this chapter. They did him fucking amazing in this chapter. He's so good. Also, Kiara doesn't have hidden eyes, but they use the joke smart in that, where it's just like, the reason he is able to trick her into being like, oh, she's gonna go along with me, because he says to her, if I do this, you'll cover your eyes for me, right? And she's like, sure, fuck it, whatever. Like, that's a joke. It's a funny way to actually utilize the joke. It's just like, oh, it makes sense. Bart would ask that because it's the seductress. And the seductress, he wants it to meet his specifications. So he asked that of this fucking giant woman. It's used well. They very much use his stupid joke that doesn't make any sense so well. And I like that they even dig into his history like a lot with this, of just like how he like was only really active for 3 years, but in those 3 years he was able to like bring together the largest crew of pirates in history. Or at least at that time. Maybe there's somebody who's beating that record. I wouldn't fucking know. But yeah, no, it's great. I wouldn't even say Mandricardo vibes. I think that this is definitely like Jason vibes, because Mandricardo's always had a decent reputation. Jason's reputation was really in the shitter, because people only knew him from like Okeanis, and he was an asshole in Okeanis. And then he shows up and he's like an amazing goat. And they did it again with him. They did it again with Bart, and it's so good. I need the writers to be consistent because Bart deserves better. They put him in such a good light here. Anyway, love that, love him. Bart's great. Adore him in this chapter. Next up. We have the Hakunos. Hakuno, I think, is my favorite Fate protagonist, and I'm kind of more partial to the girl one, Hakunon, just because she's cuter and more goblin-coded, but both of them are great characters. They translated them both super well over to the story here. Hakunon really doesn't do much aside from be a BB hype woman and getting jealous that Hakuno gets to have an adventure, but Hakuno, being a wealth of knowledge, comedy relief, and a strong ally, really sells home the whole, like, he's our senpai kind of thing. Being given a what-if plot for them both, that they, like, spent the next 1,000 years on the moon functionally remaking humanity is a really interesting idea, and then finally getting to have their graduation moments is incredibly sweet. I'm actually going to lump BB Cosmos into this as well. I'm going to lump BB Cosmos into this as well here, because she kind of served a very similar role to Hakuno until they showed up. But, you know, it's kind of fun. You got to see BB in a really unique role here, too. it's refreshing to have a BB that's on our side for once, and getting to have her scheming, analytical, like, mind used for us rather than against us. There's also a lot of great moments with her being teased by just about everyone, and justifiably so. Loved her. Loved the Hakunos. Moving on. Both of them absolutely fantastic. Love them to death. So next, another sleeper character that I really enjoyed was Edison. They really decided to break the well-established same joke over and over trope with this chapter, to the point that I feel like the author, who apparently is Nasu, has a vendetta against the concept. Edison going mad with ultimate electrical power, but still being a relatively down-to-earth person is like a really nice kind of thing. He never really he never feels like he isn't Edison. He just feels like he's Edison on like meth. Also, his design here goes incredibly hard. Yeah. Additional side facts about him, like having a horrid rating among the lower AI because he made them work 24/7, believing that they didn't have personalities, is really funny. They put Edison into a position where Tesla is not there, and he thrived in it. He felt like an actual threat, albeit more of like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of threat, but rather than like an Ort threat, but a threat all the same. You know what I mean? He spends like most of the second half of the chapter functionally telling us that he's dying and coughing up blood, and even gets some like very interesting moments of us learning about his like spirit phone to try and talk to the dead, clearly remorseful for his neglect of both of his wives. By the way, that's real. He tried to do that. His ass actually tried to make a phone to talk to corpses because he thought that he could do it. And that being referenced as like one of his major regrets in life is super interesting. His shining moment, though, has to be him using the Ferris wheel to make a portal to the underworld with the help of Tesla. Realizing that one man cannot do everything alone was a really nice touch on that relationship as well. Him being the one who has to summon Tesla, he has to do it because he knows that he can't do it by himself, and him having to set his pride aside to try and like call upon the person who he quote-unquote hates the most. It's made out very clear that no, they're actually both very good friends. They're like friendly rivals, but they're just like, I don't know. You know how like sometimes you're like, you and your friends have like an antagonistic relationship, but you would easily take a bullet for them? Same idea. Yeah, it's just that, and it was great. It was such a nice little thing that they did with it. By the way, when are we gonna get a costume in the game for this, and with his animation update? Surely we're gonna get that soon, right? Right? Anyway, the good from here on out are characters that I did enjoy in the chapter, but had less going on than the others that I've listed thus far. So the rest of these are still good, but I just have less to say about them in general. BB Dubai, I think, made it for a really good villain. She's an all-powerful and dangerous threat who is acting out of desperation as opposed to hatred. She doesn't get that much screen time in the chapter, outside of little glimpses of her with Hakunon, and then at the very end, you have a bunch of stuff with her that's kind of interesting. Her whole story of being like a second-gen AI and kind of forced into a BB body, and then trying to keep like humanity from being corrupted by the moon cancer TM was interesting. Her merging with our BB to become Golden BB, it was a good way to kind of incorporate her into the game as well, I think. I thought that she was good. I don't know. I kind of wish that they did more with her, but at the same time, I think if they would have... I think that they paced it very well with her appearances. It makes sense why she didn't show up as much as she did, because if she showed up more, it would kind of like... It kind of gets rid of the allure and mystery from her. Next up, Ereshkigal. She made for like a very convincing, more real threat, and her motivation of being angered by the lack of death as a goddess of death makes perfect sense. It's functionally her reliving her trauma again and being made obsolete again. Her merging with a beast from the Servantverse is weird, but not the weirdest thing I've ever seen FGO do. Plus, the fact that we win her over with affection over violence is a great way to show that both of Ereshkigal's personality, as well as the concept of a beast in practice, needing to love humanity. Well done. They did good with her. They was really well done. Her appearance at the end was kind of like Deus Ex Machina in a literal sense, but how it came about via Edison was very well executed, I think. It's always just nice to see Erish in a chapter. I just kind of wish that she had more screen time. They just don't... I understand why she doesn't, and it makes sense why she doesn't. I just want more Erish in my life, you know what I mean? It makes sense. So next up is Passion Lip. Lip was great this whole chapter. The concept of her being, like, set back to factory settings was interesting, and seeing her grow back into a similar but different personality was very cool. I was a really big fan of the growth, albeit I really liked her in the summer event a lot more, and wish that we got to keep that one a bit, but the idea was executed very well here. I don't know. I don't really have much to say about how they did, like, Passion Lip, other than it was good. It's a nice change of pace. It's kind of interesting to see a different side of Passion Lip. You know what I mean? I like the stories of seeing someone, like, grow like this. It makes for an interesting concept, I think. Yeah. And then for the last in the good section, the various AIs that were around. Which is, it's interesting. I normally don't include these kinds of people in this kind of thing because usually they don't do anything. But one of the things this chapter did super well was make all the NPC characters actually feel relevant. I love the camel-headed guy who lives to serve, like, tea and coffee and see people smile, acting as, like, a moral anchor without... It's one of those things where it's just, like, if he's not around, then everything falls apart because he's really kind of keeping everybody grounded and keeping the morale up, which is, like, a very interesting, like, side thing. You see him just kind of, like, show up, serve tea, and leave. I don't know. I like that. I really like that about him. Anthony going from, like, a really whiny loser to relevant savior to atone for his sins was super cool. I feel bad because I can't even remember the name of the dude on the right here. Because he dies kind of early on into the story. But the one that hangs out with Gina, I think his name's Hisara. Is that right? I think it's Hisara. Yeah, I really liked him. He was, like, a really great motivator. Kind of like... He felt like the senpai character to Anthony. There's a lot of that relationship in this chapter, like the senpai-kohai thing. I liked it. I liked them both. I liked all of the various AI dudes that we saw around. So, on that note, let's get a little bit more negative. Let's get to the neutral. These are characters that I am going to say I don't particularly dislike, but I feel like we're more so here just to be here. They do one thing, and that's kind of it. Nothing, I don't feel like I don't dislike any of these characters. I just wish that there was more with them. So on that, we have the summer crew. These are the people who came with us to this part of the story chapter. The various people. Pretty much everyone who we were with, who we brought with us from the summer event fits this category for me. Almost none of them are bad, but most of them kind of just exist in the story. Sure, they take part in the various battles. We get up to, and we get to see Percy get to have, like, his hero moment, but really they just kind of don't do anything. I think this is fine overall because the chapter it really wasn't about them. They were more just kind of along for the ride and, like, the extra forces to stop everything from falling apart kind of deal. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm going to include Mash into this as well, just because she really didn't do much this chapter. But again, this wasn't a chapter about her. This chapter was more about, like, I don't know. This chapter is very much focused on you, the player, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like a lot of it focuses on you, the protagonist, and the decisions that you're making, and seeing how this world has fallen, even though it had everything that was going right for it. You know what I mean? As a side effect, though, I don't know. It makes your companions feel more like they were troops. The various times when, like, this big threat's happening, it was just like, okay, here, we're gonna make formation. We're gonna get this. I don't know. Yeah, they're just along for the ride in this chapter, which isn't bad. It's just, I don't know. They just didn't do very much. So kind of in that as well, I have the Tsukihime crew. They're kind of in the same boat, and I'm going to include the Tsukihime girls together because they are functionally in, like, the same role here. I'm a really big fan of Ciel and how she appears in this chapter. I like her the most of the Tsukihime heroines, I think, but she seems mostly here just to have a confrontation with Arc. It 100% makes sense that Arc would be here. So I don't want anyone to see me put them in neutral and be like, think I don't like Arc in this chapter. Arc was good in this chapter, and Arc 1000% should be in the Moon Cancer chapter. And she was good in the Moon Cancer chapter. It 100% makes sense that Arc would be here. And I like that they had the moment of her exploring the world with us for a bit to kind of learn about old humans. I really like the idea of her just shoving us into the alternate dimensions as a challenge while pretending to be evil. I just wanted a bit more out of her. You know what I mean? While doing some additional research, I kind of stumbled on a Reddit post. Shouldn't have done that. Talking about why this chapter wasn't popular. Mind you, this was a post made like a year ago, so I can promise you 90% of people commenting have not read the chapter and were just parroting what somebody else said. But in the discussion, I saw someone mention that they had tried to cram as many references into this chapter as possible. Now, I disagree with that idea completely, but if I had to pick two shoehorned in characters, they would probably be Arc and CL, despite, once again, it 100% making sense that Arkwood could be here. Not even could, the Arkwood should be here. I just wish that they did more with her. You know what I mean? Same with CL. CL kind of just feels like an extra force for a lot of the chapter. She gets her fun moment where she gets to go Super CL and all that, but like, I don't know. The senpai role really feels much more natural to Hakuno and how he's written. CL just kind of feels like she's just kind of here. Like another extra very strong body who bails us out of bad situations. And then Arc, I don't know. Maybe a little bit more build-up or setup with her could have been nice. But yeah, I don't know. They were fine. They were fine, just not very impactful for me. Yeah, it does just feel like CL is only there because Arc is there, but, well, you know, is what it is. So next up is Protea, the Proteas and Kazura drop. They're kind of in the same vein. It's kind of in that same vein that we have the Proteas and Kazu. The Proteas being there it makes sense because, you know, BB, but they really just don't do very much rather than pose a threat or like a big ally. Protea Alter does shine pretty well here, destroying KP, tanking the Space Sword, and saving us at the very end, but she kind of feels more like a bailout character than anything else. She is the Deus Ex Machina of this story. If something's going wrong, she shows up and solves the problem. She does it fucking 3 times. And it's cute, but that's all that she does. You know what I mean? That said, I was a very big fan of the area where we find her with the giant cakes. I thought that was fun. You know. And then Kazu, my beloved evil bug daughter. She was great when she showed up and began eating a bunch of people, made a very real threat, and then when she shows up and attempts, and like, what the fuck did I write here? Even her attempts on BB Dubai with her stupid smug face were really good. I just wanted more out of her. But we're in luck because we will be getting an event with her soon. Also, it's worth noting at the very end, the final thing that you see of Ordeal Call 3 is Hans Christian Andersen climbing to the top of the Burj Khalifa, looking down and being like, this should be high enough to snap my own fucking neck. It's so out of pocket insane. And then Kazura Drop appears, and she just like comes back and she's just like, alright, I'm back, bitches. And then that's all leading into an event that we're going to get in like a month or so. So we're going to get more stuff like that. That whole scene was comedy gold. I love that. That whole bit was amazing. Yeah, we forgot he got left. He left. He's left. It's great. That's a great comedic beat and good setup for something else. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted more out of her. I don't know. I imagine it's very difficult to write a character like the King Proteas because they are very much characters that, by their very existence, destroy the narrative. There isn't a problem. They set it up that like, oh, they can't go to certain parts of the moon because if they do, they will like sink into it and destroy things. But it's just also just like, I don't know. They're strong as shit. They can murder people. I don't know. It's very difficult to write a character like that. But I don't know. It's good. I think that they were fine. I just wanted more out of them. And then last in this category, we have Kiara. I don't really have that much to say about Kiara. She was a threat, and a pretty difficult one at that. The idea of Kiara having any form of power is terrifying, and her being in this giant ocean-sized bath of her making, of her own making, is insane. Again, her serving as a threat that becomes overcome by Bart of all people was a super nice moment. She herself was just kind of fine, you know? It's just Kiara again, I guess is my thing. We've gone against Kiara a couple of times now. We know what to expect from, like, encountering Kiara, and it was just encountering Kiara again, right? Now, I, for one, enjoy the Kiara encounters. I think that they're fun. I think that they're interesting. I think that her, like, whole worldview and how she, like, does things is really, like, a good, like, it's really good in writing. It's really, like, fun, because it is scary. It's just giving your entire being over to this person who does not have your best interests in mind. So, I don't know. She, in my opinion, she's good. She's good every time she shows up. It's just that we've done it, like, 3 or 4 times now, so I'm like, yeah, okay. It's Kiara again. So, let's get very negative now. Let's go to the bad. Let's get to the characters I did not really like in this chapter. And I'm going to be real with you. There's not many. I like just about everybody in this chapter. There are, I think, let me count this. I think 2? There's 2. There are only 2 characters who I did not like in this chapter. So, if anything, that should tell you really where I stand on this chapter as a whole. If I only have... Because you go back, you watch the Lost Belt 7 one, there's a lot of people I did not like. But speaking of Lost Belt 7, Tennochi. We need to talk about Tennochi. So, I've been crying industry plant for this character for a while now, and I still believe that to a degree, albeit it's kind of like a joke, right? It's kind of a community joke at this point, how I feel about Tennochi. And so you may be thinking, I just have a bias against her and a vendetta, and that's why she's here. Dear viewer. There's a very good reason why she's here. She's fucking annoying. Bartholomew Roberts is a character loathed by certain subsections of the community for being a one-joke pony on repeat. I like One Eye hidden by Bang's hairstyle. And you know what? He absolutely deserves all of that disdain, because that is what they do with him, right? That's all that he has. That's all that he had up until now, is that he just is like, oh, yep, he's the one joke. He has the one joke. It's completely justifiable that people don't like him for having that one joke. Right? Obviously, then, everybody will come to agree that, you know, everyone who hates Bart for having his one joke should then very much feel the same way about Tennochi here, right? Who, up until the very end, could not make it through a one single appearance without referencing a city. Every sentence, every appearance, this city, the aspects of this city. This is a young city. This is how a city should be. This is the hallmark of a good city. City, 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 city. It's fucking annoying. Now, I ain't like y'all. Y'all are fake as fuck. And I'm pointing at you, viewer. You wanna know why? I know you're fake as fuck. And here's why. I'm a professional level hater. I am a prestige hater. I went and I got the transcript of the the prologue to Ordeal Call 3. I got the transcript for it. And I looked it up. How many times does Tennochi say the word city, a variant of city or the word cities, in her appearance? She says it 35 times. And if you're thinking that's a small amount of times, she is averaging saying the word city or a variant of city twice per appearance. She says it twice per appearance that she shows up on average. There are some outliers where she won't say it. She'll just appear. But if she's in a scene and she's going to talk, she is more than likely to say the word city or cities. And this is not even getting into referencing things that don't use the word city that are still relevant to that one joke. As someone who writes, that's horrid writing. And I asked the question, what is her character? What is Tenouchi's character? Oh, that's right, she doesn't have one. They don't do anything with her. She showed up in Lost Belt 7, and her personality trait was, I am obsessed with this dude. And also, I'm a city. Right? And so, that's like, okay, yeah, we can work with that. And then they don't do anything with her. She appears in next to no events. She appears in next to nothing. And then they drop her. She has one of the fastest turnarounds on a servant to summer servant that we've ever seen. I think that the only one who is currently faster than her is Lilith, who is insanely popular as well. But that's because she actually has a personality and was in a big part of the story that she showed up in. And somehow Tenouchi is the second fastest character to get a summer alt after her release. And would you look at that? They didn't have time to cook with her and she didn't have anything going on. And so the one thing that they do with her over and over again is reference cities and how she wants to fuck the Master of Chaldea, and that's it. That's all that she has. It's the only two things that she talks about. Now, I should also mention, in case you were curious, if she's not in a scene, if she is not in a scene, the only other person who mentions the word city to any degree close to her, I think he says it 11 or 12 times, is Percival. And that's because he actually makes sense in it because he's done research into the city. And he's made it a point to be like, I enjoy researching cities. And to figure out their culture. And so he's kind of acting as your tour guide, so it makes sense for him to talk about the city. Sure, it makes sense for her to talk about cities as well, because she is one, but you can mention more than that. And if you think that I'm being biased about this, Zhu Fu does not just, give herself the one joke with this, where she's just like, oh yeah, Yume Ren, oh yeah, Yume Ren, oh yeah, Yume Ren. Zhu Fu has an entire arc where Yume Ren does happen to appear, but it's about her trying to interact with other people, her trying to get to be friends with MASH. That's a whole arc that she goes through that makes sense and is interesting and fun, and while Yume Ren shows up to a degree, and she talks about it a little bit, it's done more so as just that's her comfort character. For that. Yume Ren is used more as a comfort thing rather than a crutch in the writing. And I know some of you people. You think we're done? No, we're not done. Sit your ass down. We're not done with this. You cunts are going to be like, oh, she's quirky. She's so quirky. Haha, autistic GF. And you're saying that from the perspective of somebody who has never been in a serious relationship. I know you haven't. Don't lie to me. I know you have not. I've dated girls with this exact personality of they will have one conversation with you. Those relationships end super quickly. I'm telling you that right now. You don't want to date a girl like that. If you are the girl who only talks about one thing, if you're the guy who, this isn't even a gender thing. If you as a person only have one thing that you talk about, you need to go and figure your shit out. You should not be talking about love in the next sentence after your hyperfixation. Figure your shit out. All these I can fix her mofos, they can't fix themselves. How are they supposed to fix somebody else? Yeah, I don't know. Do you like this? Is this what you want? Even after we see her again in the story, even if you're going to be like, oh, well, that's just in the summer prologue, right? Like, you know what? Fair. So what does she do in the actual story? Not a goddamn thing. She shows up and is just like, I've betrayed you, haha, and then flies away and says, meet me in the Dubai frame. And because she's we, as the main character of the story, are just like, we don't fucking care about Tenochi, because what the fuck is she on about? That bitch only talks about two things, and that's fucking me and cities. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna ignore her for the entire narrative, and she's gonna be an afterthought. And then when we show up, she's mad about it. Like, I don't know, bitch. Maybe if you were more interesting, people would have actually wanted to show up and save your ass. Like, what? You didn't do anything. She literally does. The other characters at least help out in the story. She doesn't do anything in the story. She's a non-character. If you like her and you like her design and stuff like that, that's fine. If you like her personality, I'm questioning you. It's just I need to make that meme like immediately after this stream of the one where it's just like sexual harassment versus flirting, and it's Bart with talking about his eyes as sexual harassment and her talking about cities all the time as flirting. Because I see how you motherfuckers run. People piss me off. Fuck you. Anyway, next up, Koyan of Dark. With that crash out over, I think that Koyan of Dark felt very disappointing. We've seen her in much more threatening roles in the past. Because, you know, she was the big bad for a while now, and it was just Koyan doing her Koyan thing again, and the idea of that all of her support went away because she loved everyone equally or something, and then they didn't want to hurt her feelings. It kind of felt cliched and really rushed, if anything. I don't know. It gave us like a really cute moment with her and Davi, which was nice. I have so much less to say about her. It's just that seeing someone who, seeing someone that was a global threat become round one, we kill this person fodder is very disappointing. They could have done so much more with her, and they just kind of didn't. I don't know. I was very disappointed by her appearance. I don't know. It felt weird. Break time. All right. I assume somebody has thoughts about my rant about Tenochi. Let me hear it. Hit me with it. I wish she actually would have been able to join us. I think that would have been fun. Having Koyan Dark as an ally would be cool, because we've had Koyan Light as an ally, and that was really interesting. But yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of meh. She's just kind of chilling this time. Wasn't really putting in much effort. I mean, that's the thing, though, is we've seen her in the position of her being a genuine, like, planetary threat. And then, I don't know. Just her dying round one feels strange. Astolfo lasted longer than her. And Astolfo, the whole deal with Astolfo, who I didn't even mention this, because Astolfo really doesn't do anything this chapter, aside from being like small comedy relief, is that, I don't know. The random saint before Kiara was, Jormal Archer, who gets eaten. Shouldn't do anything. It's just a non-character. Killed off screen, they didn't want to bring her up. They could have done something with the fact that she's the personification of Mexico City, aside from the fact that she is. They could have leaned on the fact that thousands of sacrifices remain in the name, but no, city, 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 for fuck's sake. That's more or less where I'm at with her, is just like, I don't know. Every time Tenno was on screen, I suddenly couldn't read. It's just, look, apparently, okay, so, I've been told, and if I'm wrong about this, somebody can correct me. The prologue, aka Summer 9, is written by a different person than who wrote Ordeal Call 3. And so the idea is that she was written by somebody else who didn't have much to work with when they were making her. And by the way, the person who wrote the summer event was apparently the guy who wrote Agartha and the Aprilia events and all of that stuff. But also, I should mention, they did write a really good one, which was Lost Belt 4. I don't know what they could have done. I don't know. The idea of being an entire city How would you write Tenno? What would you want to see out of her in the future? I think that the idea of being a city is very interesting. The idea of being a city that has died out and having the memories of that, and technically being 3 different gods as well, is really interesting. You can lean much more into, like, okay, I was joking about this before. I don't think I've talked about it here, but I've talked about it elsewhere. She's a rain god. Like, Talak is a god of the rain at the beach. You couldn't do anything about water, or, like, bring up, like, the fact that, you know, you were built on top of a lake, or anything like that. It has to only be talking about the city. Yeah, first things first, we trim out... You can make mentions to, like, cities and architecture and stuff like that. That's fine every now and then. If that's the only thing that we're writing, it's garbage. But if it's just like, I don't know, how would I write somebody like Tenno-Chi? The problem is that she doesn't have much of a personality. They don't do anything with her. Yeah, it's not even to get into, like, yeah, I talked about that, how this is the most glazy of, like, a thing where it's just, like, all of the summer event, which is like, oh my god, Dubai is so cool. It's just, I don't know. I think that you could make it so that she's somebody who... Honestly, do you want to know what the problem might be with her? She should be old. Tenno-Chi should be old. She's an ancient city, for fuck's sake. Why is she this hot young woman? Like, okay, let me rephrase that. I understand why she is. Because the actual Tenochtitlan, the city, was described as the most beautiful city of its time. And so it makes sense that she would be a beautiful city. I would love it if she was an old, like, a fucking, like, a MILF city. MILF city. Send me to MILF city. Packing my bags tonight. I got a one-way trip. If you don't find me, know I'm where I want to be. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be Grandma Tenno. I would love it. I would love a proper, like, grandma character. We have like 2, but I would love a proper one. Yes, I don't know. She's hard to write. That's the thing, is that she's a hard character to write because, like, I don't know. Yeah, leaning more into, like, the historical aspects or the gods that are a part of her, I feel like would be better, as opposed to making it be just about how she is a city. Again, rain god at the beach. There's a lot to work with that. I don't know. People are gonna probably interpret that as me being a hater towards Tenno-Chi. I don't like the. I've said it before. The industry plant thing's more of a meme just for the community, and I think it is funny. But 1320, which in civilization terms is pretty recent, sure. Except that it's a city that literally no longer exists. It's a city that's gone. Think there'd be any other famous cities you'd like to see become a certain, like Rome or Paris? No. They couldn't do that. They would have to do cities that don't exist anymore if they were going to do something like that. But they'd also have to be cities that are, like, cultural touchstone. They could do Uruk. They could make Uruk a servant. I would be okay with it. Make the city of Uruk and it has Enlil or Marduk as a part of it. You could do that. That would make sense. Anyway. Let's get into the... Whoa. Let's get into the end of this, shall we? We have just a little bit more to go. These are my final thoughts, kind of like the conclusion of it. So, let's get into it. So, something I did not mention before, but now that we are at the end, I think deserves being brought up, is the final boss. Moon Cancers are the embodiment of that which holds humanity back. Doubts, fears, self-preservation, etc. The finale being a place where we are being, like, dissected mentally as a representative of humanity and required to prove that humans can be selfless and die for others with no benefit for themselves was fascinating. Learning that Kirstaria's plan was to ascend every other human on Earth beside himself to godhood, sacrificing his own future for the betterment of the species, is why he's the GOAT. We then try and convince this concept that we believe that he's not an anomaly, that there are more people on Earth that would make a similar sacrifice as him, but this great, like, this thing, which it's the moon cancer, but also I saw somewhere that it's Alaya, is just like, you know what? I don't believe you. We need an impartial judge to tell us that. So, we, who are apparently a moon cancer as well, I thought that part was kind of weird, but I guess it makes sense. We who are a moon cancer are able to summon one servant, and we summon someone who is a judge who, if this person said something, just about every human on Earth would be like, yep, makes sense. It's Da Vinci. A different one than the one that we had in Chaldea, but Da Vinci all the same. Someone who has achieved universal wisdom, who confirms that we are right, thus freeing us from the moon cancer. This whole scene is beautifully done and incredibly impactful, especially if you've been reading the story for as long as, like, I have, you know? I've only missed the first year of FGO, and I've been reading since then. And Da Vinci's my first SSR. I love Da Vinci. She's my baby. This chapter, more than any other, I think... what the fuck? This chapter, more than any other, I think kind of, like, falls victim to what I'm going to dub false localization psychosis. Now, I've seen this phenomenon in FGO before. And in, you know, other, it's like staggered region release games. What this is when a small group of people read something in a different language, and then they report what they thought on social media or Reddit or wherever, maybe a YouTube video, etc. From here, wanting to feel included, other people will then act like they have actually also read the thing. That they actually also have engaged with this thing because they're a fan of it, but in reality they haven't done it. But they're going to pretend that they have. They're going to act like they have been a part of this conversation the entire time in hopes of feeling included, right? But because they don't actually know what they're talking about, they're only parroting what they've heard this first initial group of people say. And so, if they find somebody who has said something that is wrong, or something that they don't like, they will then, or they say like, I didn't care that much for this chapter, they will then be like, oh, this chapter was terrible. And then because one person said it and it's on social media, other people will read that and then not know what to do with it, aside from be like, well, they must be right. And I don't read the other language, so I can't confirm or deny if that's true. Right? And so, it just goes like that, where then it keeps spreading. The further it gets from the original group of people who are having a conversation, it could be like 3 people, for instance. Let's say you have 3 people on Reddit who speak decent Japanese. It's not just white people. This is not just white people. This is a Western audience issue, and I imagine it probably works in Japanese audiences when they are translating stuff from English to Japanese or another language to Japanese. This is an international issue. I'm not throwing white people under the bus for this. This is a thing that everybody does. It's just that we just see the fruits of the English-speaking people's bullshit. So here's the scenario. You have 3 people, say, who read Ordeal Call 3. 2 of them liked it, and they talked about what they liked, and another person didn't like it that much, and they're discussing the things that they didn't like about it on, say, let's just say Reddit for, you know, posterity's sake. Because it's an open forum, somebody else, like a bunch of people get to read that, look through it, and then because they want to feel like they're also included, pitch in their own thing saying, oh yeah, I didn't like that thing either. And then people then take that as fact and then run with it from there, right? And then as it gets further and further away from those initial 3 people, the story goes from, oh, I didn't care about this one aspect of the story, to, this is the worst story I've ever read, and if you like it, fuck you. It's that shit. I'm not going to call it LARPing, because people who actually do real-life live-action role-playing, that's hard-ass work. This is, I didn't bother to do anything, and so I'm just going to have the AI-generated opinion that I saw online and not form one for myself. I am a huge proponent of, for literally everything, experience it for yourself, and if you don't like it, then at least you know you don't like it, as opposed to just saying, oh yeah, I don't like it. Oh, have you tried it? No. But I don't think I'll like it. Like, okay, man, how would you go fuck yourself then? Yeah. Too many people act like this. Too many people act like this, and this is a perfect chapter to encapsulate that. I have been told for the last 2 years, that this chapter was bad. I had somebody in my own chat tell me this chapter was bad and then said that they read it. I can't confirm nor deny if they have read it or not. I know the person who said it does read Japanese. So I don't know. We could just have different tastes. And you know what? If he did read it and he doesn't like it, that's his opinion. He formed it on his own. That's fine. I know for a goddamn fact, the vast majority of you fuckers who are online talking about this do not read it and still haven't read it and still have opinions because your asses are too lazy to pick up something and read. But you desperately need to feel included in a conversation that we don't want you in. If you don't like the story, prove it by talking about things that are in the story. You can be critical of this story. I have issues with OC3. I certainly do. But saying stuff like it's too convoluted makes you sound like you're an idiot. You don't have basic reading comprehension? This is not a convoluted story at all. They put a timeline for it on the left-hand side of your screen to help you understand the story. You couldn't read that? I don't know, man. IMO, this chapter was fun but not good. That's fine. If that's your opinion because you read it, that's a totally acceptable opinion. Not every chapter needs to be for everyone. Not every chapter needs to be a banger. But I get very angry when it comes to people who claim that they did something and then they didn't. Why are you lying to me? I don't want you in this conversation if you're going to lie to me. Well, if you're going to lie to me about something as minuscule as reading, are you going to actually, tell the truth about things that are more important? Probably not. Yeah, no, I see the flaws in this chapter, but people just blanket saying that it was bad it's factually incorrect. You can not like the chapter. I think that's totally fine. But I don't know. I've said my piece. I'm just looping at this point. 8 out of 10. Don't listen to social media's opinions. Form your own through your own experiences. I thought this chapter was great. I did not think it was very convoluted. I thought that by and large, it was just very fun pretty much the whole way through. It's a nice little romp through it. It has servant verse stuff, but it's very toned down. It has Tsukihime stuff that's very toned down. This is mostly just like Seraph again. It's like saying the Seraph chapter was convoluted. Like, not really. It's just, okay, we're in the moon and there's AI shit and we're gonna, dematerialize if we're not careful. Okay, yeah, that's Seraph. Oh, we're on the moon and everyone's AI and they're trying to figure out how humans went extinct and now we gotta solve the problem to make sure that humans don't go extinct. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I give it an 8 out of 10. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It's easily, like I said, it's easily probably one of the best chapters I've read in a long time. I didn't really care that much for Lost Belt 7. I thought it was good, but it had its ups and downs. I really did not care for Ordeal Call 1. I thought it was kind of whatever. Or right now, I will say, because I'm probably going to get it done with Ordeal Call 2 in a month's time or something like that on stream. I think that one is going to go pretty far for me because so far, I love it. So far, it's a 10 out of 10 for me in terms of writing. Writing, presentation, battles, etc. Love all that part, all of that of it. But, is what it is. Any last questions? Any final thoughts on this? Yeah. OC1 definitely felt like they were trying to, figure out how to do the ordeal call thing. That would be, so far, the only one I would say falls into the air quotes ordeal stall thing that they did. Because it took forever to make it, and then the payoff wasn't great. But, all the other ordeal calls thus far have been good. So I don't know what people are on about. I enjoy the story, though. I have some apprehension about the AI stuff, early on with Hans, when he talks about the history of the world. How they correlate AI as a new humanity feels off to me. Well, it's supposed to feel off to you is the thing. It's supposed to be kind of uncanny because it's being made very clear, it's also being very ambiguous throughout a lot of the chapter. It's being kind of breadcrumb to you how all of this happened and why all of this happened. You know what I mean? Anthony deserves an original sprite. Please agree. I actually, were you the one who said this last time? Somebody said that yesterday as well, and I disagreed with them. And here's why. I personally think the idea of him being a mass-produced AI and not really being special, but still very clearly being, like, an elite AI, is a perfect way to kind of encapsulate that whole, like, equality thing that they were going for with the AIs, where none of them, like, have their own special frames or anything like that. And he's supposed to be, like, just kind of an any man, but he turns out to be, like, the reason everything has gone to shit. I really like that.
Yay!
I think that's a fun thing that they did with that. I can totally see why people would want a personalized thing for him. And I don't disagree. I think that'd be cool, but I definitely understand why they didn't do that. It's kind of like a nice little undertone they did with this character. It's fun. Also, Wowie, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. Hope you enjoy your stay. All right. I think that's a good place to wrap this up. And if you are watching this on YouTube, because this will all be on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe to all the YouTube stuff. If you want to really help me out, you can always, you know, code Klidge at checkout. Get yourself some Tasha coffee, baby. Go drink some coffee. If you tell me you don't drink coffee, I'm going to call you a goddamn liar. Yeah. No, it was good. I very much enjoyed this chapter. Let me know what you thought about Ordeal Call 3 in the comments below. I need to know. I need to hear from the Tennochi character enjoyers. I don't want to know that you think she's hot. I need to know why you like her character. And if it's just you think that she's hot, you know what? Have a nice day. I want to know if there's something about her character that you think I'm missing, very specifically in this chapter. I got nothing out of her here. But I don't know. I'm open to it. You let me know. And don't let me flexing my thesis grades be a thing where I think I'm smarter than you when it comes to character writing. No, that's more just like I'm a bitch ass who has gone into the most useless college degree, and I need to feel good about myself in some regard. Hee hee ha ha. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, hi YouTube, bye YouTube. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace out. Peace and love. Peace and love. I'm excited to finish OC2 and to get into OC4. Bye-bye.